One against Schofield. Puopolo got a high tackle. Back to Hodge. That's a goal, I think. It is. Hodge has done it from nowhere. Inver have done it. The first team in the 18-team competition to go back to back to back. They're three Peters.
Collingwood by a point. Lockyer brings it in. Ryder sandwich between two pies. Back of the Packers, Winderlich. Quick handball to Hocking. Back to Lovett Murray. He goes short. It's a mark to Zaharakis. Zaharakis has kicked the goal. The Bombers are in front of the G.
You are now listening to the Molten Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are listening to us. This is the Molten Fantasy Sport Podcast, and strap yourself in because we have an absolute rip snorter today for you leading into Gather Round. I was just sitting there listening to our intro, back to back Hawthorn. All I want them to do this week is go back to back wins. That would be fantastic if they could find a way, but it's very doubtful. I mean, we lost to Geelong, so let's start with our first win. Bombers won't be ahead at the G because everyone is playing in Adelaide at Adelaide Oval in Norwood. But I'm Rob Kennedy, your host, the Supercoach Hawk, sitting here with my co-host, Mickie Dell. I'll get you in 1 second because I want to talk about who's sitting in this screen below us. Now, we are on YouTube, so I'm pointing down to where he is. We've invited our good mate, Jake Skidmore. Now, I just want to say, no, he's not in the 1%. We've broken our rule a little bit. He was in the top 1% last week. But what he is a top 1% when it comes to blokes. Because this bloke right here, he's the type of bloke that when he's in town, he gives you a call and says, Rob, I'm coming into town, want to catch up for a beer. That's the kind of bloke Jake Skidmore is, and that's why I call him a mate. Jake, welcome to you first really quickly. How are you, my friend?
Thank you very much, boys, for having me. I appreciate it. That's right. I do give a call to the boys when I'm in town, unlike a certain MM that may not be said or featured on this podcast. But it's really good to be here, boys. Can't wait to have a yarn about the Supercoach and the footy that's around ahead.
Beautiful. Sorry to not go the normal intro. Mickie Dell, the big horse. How are you, buddy?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I'm going to take a back seat today because we have the Jake Skidmore in the building. And I can confirm that he does call people because he was only in Bendigo a couple of weeks ago. My phone was running hot. A couple of beers down at the, where was it? The sports bar here in Bendigo.
Oh, yeah, geez, they have a beautiful sports bar down there in Bendigo.
Mr. Bob's, yeah. A couple of stubbies. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, your hometown really treated me well there, so I really felt it. And Mickie was very nice on a couple of beers, just a couple of quiet ones because still had to drive back down to Melbourne. But still a beautiful day well spent with great company, so it was fantastic.
We talked a lot of Mickie Dell. We call him the stat man here on the Molten Fantasy Sport Podcast. But I tell you what, if anyone's going to review a sports bar, the person I'm calling is Jake Skidmore. I tell you what, if you're giving it a good review, I'm there, and I'm there in a heartbeat. I can tell you that for damn.
A couple of cheeky bolters as well. So that was a very, very nice day. If they can't go wrong.
Very
with that.
nice. All right, gentlemen, let's dive in to give everyone an understanding of what's going on. If you haven't already, make sure you click subscribe. We've clicked over 400 plus subscribers, which is absolutely phenomenal. And we thank everybody who's got behind us and supported us through this, what started as just a bit of a fun project and a bit of banter between some boys. Today, we're also going to get into some captain choices. We're going to get into some trade talk. We are going to have a little bit of a look at Jake's team as well. As I said, he was in the top 1% last week. What did you get, Jake? 22.98?
22.59. So I was pretty happy with that. If I didn't go to the chat and Damien Carroll decided to tell me to take Jimby over Stocker, I would have done a lot better. But sometimes you got to listen to the boys, even if it's the wrong call. So that's all right.
We talk about it a lot on this podcast, mate, about how sometimes we don't get remembered for the good calls we make on a podcast. We get remembered for the ones that we get wrong. So we've all done it. We're all criminal to it, but we move on. We strive on. I think as a group, we've all done pretty well, and I think we're all starting to climb back up to where we want to be. I think we're all improving. It'll be really good to have a look at your team in a little bit, especially a team that doesn't have a lot of cash in bank, but does have a lot of trades. So it will be great to look at it from that perspective. I know Dell and I both have a lot of cash in bank, but have used quite a few trades. So there'll be a lot of good chat for anyone who's listening along on the podcast or following us on YouTube. We've got plenty of players that we're going to talk about, and then we'll start to dive into captain choices this week. So, Del, anywhere that you want to start before we dive into Mr. Skidmore's team and go from there?
I'm looking forward to seeing what Skiddy's come up with, given that there is a few of us that are either associated with this podcast or that have our own Twitter handles and talk AFL and a lot of AFL. And Skiddy's, when it comes to the social media type stuff, isn't over the top loud when it comes to it, but he's reserved, but he's very educated with what he does, not just with the AFL. We're going to get him on with the NBA and that as well, which he does specialise in. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes about structuring his side, where he's gone to with some of the lesser-known picks. Like I know you've got Stocker in your side, for example, who was an absolute bum at Carlton, and now he's averaging high 70s at St Kilda, so that's a ripper pick there. But, as we go through your side, I'll ask you a couple of questions, give the viewers a bit of an understanding as to how someone, I guess, outside of Robbie and I think and how you're going about structuring your side moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good. I mean, obviously I played a lot of footy. I played about 15 years of footy myself. So, and also I've been a coach for 3 of them. I had a pretty good, I was pretty fortunate in the fact that Terry Wallace was around our club a lot and he kind of mentored me and brought me forward. So I have kind of a different kind of way of reading into the Supercoach kind of way of things. And I kind of think more of how they work as a team and as how they work as individuals themselves as well. Because Terry was very big on their players and the humans at the end of the day. They're not just, they're not just AI doing their thing. There's going to be certain things that work around it. So I kind of try and look in that kind of aspect of how things are going to work like that. So I don't know. My thought process might be a little bit sideways, but it's working.
Sideways to get me into the top 1%, then I'm listening. I'm all ears.
Mate, if you don't give us a little bit of sideways, I'll be extremely disappointed. That's all I'm going to say. So, mate, before we dive into your team, let's make sure we give a shout out to one of our sponsors in the Standard Squeeze.
The Standard Squeeze helps you pour one standard shot at a time, so you know exactly how much you're drinking without any of the guesswork. No more broken glass bottles with their food-grade quality plastic. Throw your squeeze into the esky, the back of the ute, or into your back pocket. Responsible drinking with convenience. So go on, have a squeeze at thestandardsqueeze.com and use the code MOLTEN15 for 15% off at checkout.
Massive shout out to the team at Standard Squeeze that have got behind us. We love their products. We love everything they stand for and everything that they've got behind us with. If you didn't hear through that ad break, make sure you jump on their website, use the code MOLTEN15 to get 15% off all their products. I can't recommend it enough. Mm-hmm. Let's dive in. Let's see if I can get this right. I'm going to move to our share screen approach and see if we can get Jake's team up on board. We will talk to it to those who are listening on the podcast. Let's see if I have hopefully done that correctly. Jake, we're going to start with your defenders. So we've got the defenders up on screen. We'll talk to them first just to give everyone a shout to understand that's listening on the podcast, not watching on YouTube. We did talk about $0 remaining, which I always find that very special that you spent to the final dollar. That's brilliant. You have 32. You have 32 trades left. You haven't used a boost yet, which is rare as well.
I've used one.
Oh, one? Have I read that wrong?
Used one, yeah.
And talk us through your back line. Talk about where we're at and what's going on.
Yeah, right. So $0, which I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I made my first trade this week. And also, too, because I had Warple in my team and goddamn, he was giving me the shits. I don't know what it was. I came into the season and I thought Hawthorn's midfield was got to be Warple and Newcomb and then someone, because I don't know what the hell they're doing. But Sam Mitchell obviously went, you know what, Warple, don't need you in there the whole time. So I pissed him off and got Hopper, thanks to your guys' recommendation. So thank you very much for that. Hopefully that pulls through. But we'll start with the back line. Back line, I've got Nicky Dacos because, you just have to. He's just unbelievable. Bailey Dale, that's one of the ones where I kind of went, I know there was a lot of talk about Bailey Dale's first couple of weeks, and he was just crap, nothing that he was doing the last year. But I kind of thought to myself, there's got to be a reason why, and maybe he's just working himself back into the footy. And I was like, this is probably the time to go for it. I got rid of Cox from Fremantle because he was doing me up the damn wall, and I hated seeing a 46 or whatever the hell he got. So I was like, no, I'm going to go with someone that I'm trusting. I'm going Dale. So I stuck with Dale. Redmond's just solid as all hell down Essendon's backline. I honestly thought it was going to get a bit more use of it. Oh, yeah, they're ready. Oh, that's a great celebration, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Oh, of all the ones you can get, and he kicks some absolute rippers from outside 50. I mean, I don't want to see him have a set shot ever. He has no business in taking a set shot. Just keep loading him up from 50.
Yep.
Buckley, that was purely on the Molten Fantasy Sports podcast. I've listened to you boys saying, get this bloke, even though Mick had no idea who he was, but Robbie, credit off, mate. That's an absolute big win for you there, mate. That was sensational. So, yeah, I stuck with Buckley. Stocker, you're going to give me credit for Stocker, but I honestly was sitting there and I went, I got no idea. And I kind of just went, maybe he'll thrive. Damien Carroll always talks up, how good's this bloke? How good's this bloke? Because he played for Carlton. And then, I thought maybe he'll actually do something good at St Kilda because maybe they'll get the go. And there you go. He actually did it right. So we'll take that. And McKenna, that was honestly a price of thinking that he'll probably get a game at Brizzy and he can make some money for me. And he's doing very, very well. So pretty stoked with that, actually.
Did you pick Conor McKenna because it's Conor McGregor's brother? Yeah, that's adjusted.
To be sure, I did. They'd have to have the same last name for that. But
yeah, that's right.
That's cool. Pretty bloody close. I'm glad that he's not flopping as bad as McGregor does, so that's good.
Yeah,
maybe he could actually come in and do a fight for once. Jeez.
So and then you got Chester and Constable on the bench. We'll get to them in a bit as well. I mean, so Bailey Dale was obviously a big call. Did you bring him in after? Have you only just brought him in last week? So did you bring him after he finally turned it around a bit and got 100? Or
no, I brought him in not last week, the week before.
Wow,
good call. I've actually hit both of his good scores.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter at all as somebody who had Bailey Dale and got rid of him after round 2. But I had to. Like, you know what? You can't get upset at getting rid of him. You have to make some of those calls. I actually like him as a player, so I'm happy to see him scoring, which is great. Buckley's been a big one. Look, I love the shout out that you give me a bit of credit there, but I pretty much remember when we first both brought him up, it was when we were doing our first break-even score, and I just sort of looked at him like, I actually hadn't seen this guy play either. So I can't take too much credit for that other than just pointing out what his break even was and seeing a little bit of what he was doing down back. So, good pickup. A few of us missed the boat there on that one. Having Dacos in your D1 is a gutsy position and allows you to sort of move into other spots. And Redmond seems to be the player that's taken Ridley's role and Dell's talked about that a lot. So, I don't know. Your thoughts, Dell?
Yeah, I like it. I like you. You've got a good... you've got Dacos, Dale, Redmond, Stocker, McKenna. They're all people that use the ball well out of the back line. They're not key position players, so to speak. Jack Buckley, I have watched him a bit since we brought him up in a podcast. I think it was about 3 weeks ago. He intercepts the ball really well. So him and Sam Taylor work really well at the GWS. And this, it's already slipped my mind, Buckley, he takes what looks like as the third tall, so the lesser of the tall forwards on any team, and tries to play off them and get them intercept possessions. So as we know with Supercoach, they're big point scorers, and credit to you, Skiddy, for getting him in because he's going to make another probably 80,000, 90,000, and you'll move him into something a lot more premium, I'd imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. The only worry I'm having with Buckley, especially, like I'm very confident with Dacos and Bailey Dale and Redmond. I mean, obviously, I'll try. Like Redmond, I'll probably try and move up a little bit more. But Buckley, I'm just a little bit cautious with the fact that Phil Davis could come in there and take, because you're right, he does take a lot of those intercept marks. It's not as much as like those slut kicks around the back line to get his score up. He's more or less being that bloke that does that kind of thing. And I'm worried that Phil Davis may hamper that in a certain way that not too much.
I'll put this to you. If GWS keep losing, are they going to persist with Buckley, who's a young player, or bring in Phil Davis, who potentially might finish up this year?
That's a very, very good point. And I would definitely agree with you there, saying that they may prioritise him. But, Phil Davis has always been the heart and soul of that team. When they were in the flag, in the grand final, against the Tigs, it was Phil Davis that was captaining him, and he was the one that was leading the charge out for the boys and everything. They've got a lot of respect for Phil Davis, and I don't think they're just going to let him peter out. They're going to do right by him. If he wants to go and his body can still let him go, he's going to go, and he's that type of player. So that's why I'm a little bit worried about Buckley. But Davis is 2-3 weeks away, so at least I can sit on it for a little bit more. I've got the trades, obviously, to be able to do what I want to do. So if he makes me a bit more, that's fine. No worries.
Good lad.
That's a good shout. I think we move into your midfield there. Talk us through your mids, mate.
Yeah, right. So Clary, obvious choice. I mean, Clary's just Clary, so that's all right. Cripper, the Brownlow medalist. So Cripps is going to do what Cripps is going to do. I'd love to know what his score is with and without Walsh, because I just want to, I don't know. I feel like Cripps, he's always going to get you around that score, but he could, drop a little bit.
Hello.
Strangely, I
need the stat man on that one.
He scores better with Walsh in the side.
I was just about to say, he scores more.
Oh, really?
He scores better with him. Yep.
Beautiful. Well, then, Cripper's staying. So that's made a decision for me. So thank you very much, stat man. You absolute legend. The horsey stat. Obviously, being a Northman, I've got LDU in there because he is just put him in for your Brownlow medal right now. God, he's just so bloody good. I'll tell you right now, I'm telling you right now, Mickey Dell and Robbie Kennedy, if I walk in to my bedroom and LDU's in bed with my wife, I'd probably get in his side of the bed. That's how much I love the man. He's a stallion.
That's so good. That's so good.
Tommy Green,
Mr. Skidmore, you've got to leave past. That's what I heard. That's all I'm hearing.
Yeah. A lot of people take movie stars and stuff. No, I'll take LDU. Thank you very much. Tommy Green. I feel like he just does what he does. He's just that bull for the Giants. I mean, with Kelly and Canelio in there, so he does what he has to do, and they obviously love him and really rate him. So happy with that. Setters. That was honestly because I didn't have a lot more monies, and Mickey Dell told me get around him. He's gonna go well. So I went, you know what? May as well get in there. Hopper's the new addition to the team, as I said, because I hate Warple. Ashcroft, obvious. He's going to be a star in the league. I'm not bitter at all about North not getting him anymore, so that's fine. I don't care. Ashcroft's great. He looks great in Brisbane, so good on him. And Jimby, that's obviously the old the West Coast specialist. Robbie Kennedy's work, obviously there, because you can't go against his word from a West Coast or Fremantle player.
I wish I went against my word a few times. I tell you what.
Back yourself, King. You're the man. That's why. Mackenzie, that's another Robbie special. Hollins, I was out of money and I just needed someone that was going to play a game, and I knew he was going to play for Carlton. And Baker, that was one where I looked at and I thought to myself, you see all these players at that low price. And as soon as he got named, he was immediately in my team, purely because he's got that the pedigree from coming from the D's. Like he knows how to play winning football, and he's got that mindset of being like, okay, I'm going to have to fit into this system at the Western Bulldogs, but they could put him anywhere, and I still think that he's going to be able to not necessarily flourish, but like he's going to be able to play his role, and he's going to be able to do it well. So I thought, cash there. So I was pretty happy with Baker in there, even though I'm still looking to get rid of him because I'm not liking 40s. 40s aren't doing it.
He's not a wet weather footballer. I know people jumped off him when he scored. He's an outside mid on a dry day for a Western Bulldogs team that when it's dry, he's their guy that's just going to put that on a T-shirt. He's the guy that's going to get some points. But, yeah, look, Libba did his thing when it was wet. McRae did his thing. Bontempelli did his thing. I think just Baker did a role, but he's not going to be Supercoach relevant in the wet, I don't think.
Yeah.
I feel there's too many players. I feel there's a lot of people doing a lot of trades of players who still have break-evens of like either in the negatives or under 10. Like it's like you can't jump off them too quickly. I know we've got these trades at the moment, but people that do it right are going to use those trades in the right way. I still think there's opportunity there to go sideways to make sure your bench players aren't dead. You don't have dead rookies sitting on your bench and getting those trades. I think we've got to be careful though, trading away or trying to force the upgrade too early with players whose BEs are quite low. Like, I mean, Alwyn Davies right up there as getting traded out a lot. I think he's, 2.4% of trades have been Alwyn Davies. I mean, he still has a BE of -1. Like, he's still going to generate you some cash. I just don't think there's a need to do that just yet. But look, you've got English Marshall. Tell us a little bit about Samson Ryan. When did you bring him and where are you sort of sitting with him, mate?
Yeah, right. So I brought Samson Ryan in the same week that I brought Bailey Dale in. Just because, I had Radigalea and I don't rate him at all. I think he's garbage and Geelong are going to also see that, especially down back. I mean, look, forward, you can hide him a bit, but down back and the best player, mate, Mickey Dale could kick 5 goals on him. All he can do is leap, but he has no idea how to run at the football. Like, no, I'm not having a bar of it. So I wanted to piss him off. And Samson Ryan was getting a game. So I was like, oh, yeah, I'll let him sit there for a little bit. And now that Nankervis is out, and I'm pretty sure Soldo's still a couple of weeks away, I thought, now Ryan's actually got a shot. So I was going to just like leave him there as kind of just like, a captaincy kind of threshold, something like that, because if he didn't get a game all the time. But now I'm like, this guy could actually be the ruckman. Like he could genuinely be the ruckman. So if he does and that pans out, I'm moving him forward and I'll take his scores because, a couple of hit outs here and there. I think I saw somewhere that he, for rucks contested to hit outs, he's 4th this year. Which I know he's probably done like 3 or 4, but who cares? I'll take that. That's good percentages.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So can come in.
Let's crack on into your forwards, and then we'll have a bit of a chat about it. I think there's a few players going to come up. We'll start chatting about some trades and some different things as well. Talk to us about your forwards, mate, and then we'll get into a bit of trade chat.
Yeah, sweet as. I'm keen for this trade chat with the boys. Gets me giddy. So I got in the forwards, I got Dunks because, everyone has to have Dunks. Taranto because, he plays more mid than forward. So that's just an easy one. Goulden. Okay. So I bought in heavily to that practice game that Goulden had where he scored 170 or whatever he had. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, if he can do that, then that's the type of bloke that I want on my team. And so far, he hasn't let me down. He's just constantly getting 200s. He looks well undersized, and I love it. He's a jet. He's fantastic. And I'm actually very excited to see how he goes without Buddy this week because I know that Sydney really like to push up and just let Buddy have the whole 50, and they think that, Buddy can just do everything. But then they kind of flock and let Heaney and Goulden and Papley kind of into more of like a crumbing rover role where I assume they're going to get more handballs around and everything when they're at the feet of Logan McDonald. Mm-hmm. Nothing to take away from Logan McDonald. Sydney just don't see him in the same light as Buddy. So I feel like it's going to be a lot more opportunity for Goulden and Heaney without Buddy. So I'm keen to say that. Zeeble, that was, I'll pat myself on the back. That's a masterclass by me. As soon as I saw Zeeble forward, I was like, this is easy because he's going to play back. There's no chance of him playing forward. And he takes the kick-ins easy. And speaking of easy, how easy is it having Harry Sheezy in your team? Oh, my God, what a superstar. Oh, the best thing that's ever happened to the North Melbourne Football Club.
It's the main reason you're not bitter about not getting Ashcroft is you've got Sheezel. If you didn't have Sheezel, you would be bitter as old gold chocolate, mate. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd still be pissed off over that mama crying little bitch that went to Port Adelaide. But don't have to worry about it anymore. He's who
was that? What's his name?
I believe his name is Jason Horne-Francis, and yes, I was thinking about this the other day, and I was actually saying this to one of the boys, that I feel like when North play Port, right? And I don't know if it's in Adelaide or if it's down here.
It's in Tassie.
It's in Tassie. Oh, great. Just don't let us all boo him at Marvel. That's fantastic. But when we play them, I think every North supporter, because everyone always boos the opposition player when they move from your team. I think everyone should just get up to when Horne-Francis gets the ball and just give him a golf clap and just go, thank you very much. Thank you for giving us Sheezel. He's better than you. Thank you very much. Just
that's a lot better than where I thought that was going. I thought you were going to get your cups and throw it on the ground or something.
I'm a bigger man now, and I've seen the light, and the light is in the light of Shees. Thank you very much. He's a man. So
he's awesome. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's generated the most amount of cash, I think, quicker than anybody in Supercoach history. I think he's showing what he's doing. Like, I really like the quality that's coming out of your mouth at the moment, Jake. And I know you'll be honest with us. Can we have a genuine chat though here about, like, let's compare like a Sheezel to an Ashcroft at the moment, right?
Yep.
Do we agree that Ashcroft has a tougher role by going straight into the midfield compared to a Sheezel who can run off the back line? Is there a comparison there? Like, I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm not trying to compare it. I'm just talking about the role. Do we find it tougher for a Jinby who's had to go into the guts for West Coast straight away? Like, it makes it really tough to pick your rookie of the year when a role has something to do with it. Like, what's your thoughts there?
No, absolutely. No, I absolutely agree with you there. So, but then again, like, you look at it, Sheezel is playing the same role that Dacos is playing for Collingwood, right? It's pretty much identical, that he's getting the kicks off and then he's running on and he's making the decision making and he's doing a sensational job of it. Ashcroft has been seen as that the father-son rule of being like, okay, that Ashcroft is not going to go to the worst team from last year, and he's now getting thrown into a role where he's in a top 4 team now. And it's tough for him because, he's expected to perform straight away as a 19, 18-year-old. So, yeah, absolutely. It's harder for him, especially in the midfield. And I think Ashcroft is going to be a sensational player. He's got that look about him. If he bulks up, he's going to be sensational. But at the moment, when we're looking at it, Ashcroft's obviously getting, hit in the guts, and everyone, as soon as he gets the ball, it's an easy target, right? If you're an older player and you see this young kid coming into the league who hasn't got a lot of weight behind him, that's an easy tackle. That's an easy hit. Like, you know what you're going to be able to do to him. And he's not going to be able to do the same thing back to you, even though Ashcroft is a bigger, more skilled player. So, yeah, I agree with you there in saying that, Ashcroft's role at the moment is harder. But can you take away anything from what Shees is doing in the fact that he has the most disposals for a rookie
Amazing.
In the entirety of the AFL, by 6 disposals in 4 rounds. It's just phenomenal what he is doing.
Do you know what I like the most about him? It's not so much how much of the footy he gets. It's the composure and the time he seems to have when he has the footy in his hands. That's the part that I look at and go, yeah, this kid's got something. And I think it might have been Justin in the chat actually that did a bit of a comparison to sort of a Scotty Pendlebury, and it is. It's like those players where when they get the football, time seems to slow down. He just that to me is where he looks special, and I think that's what stands out for me. Yeah,
could not agree more with that. He just it's like he's doing the same thing that LDU does. He plays at his own pace. It's the same thing that Pendlebury does. It's like they don't give a shit if they get tackled. They just do what they have to do. They focus in. And I've watched every single second of every North game, and then plus others. And I just don't see, besides Dacos, and then besides, the more informed backmen that do those, like that, are entrusted by their teams with those kicks, like Bailey Dale, like Redmond. He's really showing that kind of composure and that kind of attitude that he's knowing how to play the right way. And especially for his first time coming into the AFL. So, yeah, I'm a big Sheezy believer. I'd love to see him keep it up. And even if he doesn't, I'm still stoked with how he's performing at the moment. Even if he gets under 100 next week, don't care. He's still doing such a phenomenal job for someone that's, he's going to work into being such a good player. I've seen him stuff up one kick. And that was because he's getting chased down by Crips. And I'd be scared of getting chased down by Crips.
What about the deliberate out of bounds where Fremantle should have got a free kick after the game?
What are you talking about? What are we talking? No, that was Daniel Howe. All right, come on, mate. Don't try and bait me with that shit.
Anyway, what I can clearly see here.
We all saw the siren go, okay, North 1, give us the 4 points, let's go.
What I can clearly see here, boys, is that we've got LDU, we've got Sheasel, we've got Zeeble, and there's potentially a little bit of Cam Zurha that are etched in the wank bank of Jake Skidmore. So how about we look at some trades? What's going on with your trades?
Let's do it. We're at that 30-minute mark. I wanted to jump into some trades for sure. Let's start with, and Del, I'll throw to you. I'm gonna talk about the most traded in, traded out trade at the moment, and then we'll get to the break-evens as well. Break-evens is really interesting this week because there's no real crazy standouts other than maybe one or two who are still at their sort of rookie price. Other than that, you're starting to make a few choices. So let's leave that for 1 second. The obvious one at the moment is the Sam Doherty discussion, which both you and I have Mr. Doc in our team. So maybe we'll address sort of where our mindset's at. Now, I find number 3 amazing on this, but here are the trades that include Sam Doherty. He's in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's in 7 of the top 10 trades that have most happened this week. The obvious one sitting at, let's start at the bottom. The bottom with just over 1,200 is Mitch Duncan coming in for Sam Doherty. Then it's Tim English for Sam Doherty. So that's obviously people just moving some players around a little bit. Jake Lloyd comes in at number 7. With him now having, I think he's had a few 90s and a couple of 100s, and showing that he's sort of a little, not the Jake Lloyd pig of the past, but still sort of back playing that role a bit and looks comfortable in getting some points. Luke Ryan is still on everyone's radar at 1688. Number of people have done the trade. Then we got the obvious 3. I find it amazing that somehow Nick Dacos is still only just being on an in now on 3,863 trades. Like, I find that astonishing that he hasn't been in by now. And then the obvious 2 at the top. Tom Stewart sitting at number 2 and Jordan Dawson sitting at number 1. If money isn't the issue, what are you doing with Sam Doherty? Mickie?
I think number 1 and number 2 there are clear standouts to me. Tom Stewart is as cheap as he's ever going to be. What is he, 570 now? And that's with that score of 16 or whatever it was. You got Jordan Dawson, who has been called the unicorn with just the way that he accumulates Supercoach points with his beautiful kicking. One other one that I'm personally looking at is Jack Sinclair from St Kilda. He started slow, and now he's starting to really come on. Like, his possession totals haven't really wavered, but I'm talking from a Supercoach point of view that he's starting to be a little bit more accurate. Those short kicks are turning into those long kicks, which are extra points, and he's hitting targets now. So, and look, St Kilda 4-0, they're looking good. Membry back this week. I personally think they'll beat the Pies this week. Jack Sinclair for me is probably one that I am looking at bringing in that you haven't brought up.
Who you don't have Dawson or Stewart though, do you as well?
No, I don't. No.
And so there's a part of you that still thinks you go the Sinclair. Is that just to have a bit of a POD, or is that to sort of actually genuinely be like, he's the guy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that he will be a top 6 defender at the end of the year. And for me, it's choosing between Sinclair and Stewart. And while Stewart's been extremely good since he's been back, the knee still concerns me a little bit. I want to see 3 or 4 games in a row out of him before I grab him for my team.
I really love your shout for Sinclair, and you've been talking about him for a while. I don't know how much we've said it on air, but you've definitely been mentioning it, looking at his price and when's the point to bring him in. He's now getting the scores to back it as well. For me, Dawson is just the absolute no-brainer. I think with Duncan going back for Geelong and the things you say about Tom Stewart, if I had to pick between the two, I'm taking Dawson. I think he is the unicorn at the moment, and it's still at a price which is gettable without being too stupid. But I don't mind your shout for people out there that have been rocking the Dawson and Doherty combo from the start, because that's what we talked about with some of the initial buildings of teams, which I wish I just stayed with my initial build. I don't mind the possibly going Sinclair over Tom Stewart. I don't mind that. I don't know. Skiddy, where's your head out there, mate?
Well, obviously, if I'm picking anyone out of it, it's going to be Dawson or Dacos. I want to see Tommy Stewart.
Let's take Dacos off this discussion. I think if you don't have him already, they don't listen to our podcast. So
that's very, very true. And obviously, they're not going to be top 1%, so they can get silly as hell. Maybe they don't have Sheasel in their team either. Idiots. For me, it's I really like the shout of Sinclair. I feel like what he's been doing in that St Kilda team has been really good, and their defense has been absolutely unreal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is locked down to the highest level. Ross Lyon has really got them going nicely. So I'm liking it. I'm just not sure about like if he's going to bring the same scores as he did last year, because last year he was off his rocker last year. So I'm keeping a very close eye. I am very much looking at one of these bigger names, like a Dawson or a Sinclair, because I'm really liking the sound of that for Redmond. Even though I'm really confident in Redmond, I just feel like there is watching Jordan Dawson play football is a joy in itself. Watching him play in defense he is great at what he does. And I think the most confident that I'm going to be with Jordan Dawson is that like he's coming up against Carlton this week, and like I couldn't give a stuff. Like I still feel like he's going to have a massive score just because that's how well he's currently playing. And even, with having the Kerno and the Mickie factor, it's not going to bother him. He's just going to go ahead and do his business. So, Dawson for me. I really want him in my team.
I think a really interesting one with Sinclair, and I'm just having a bit of a look at his numbers and his tracker as well. So if I told you last week he had 31 disposals, 22 of them kicks, 9 handballs, which that's pretty standard for him. He very much kick to handball ratio. But if I asked you to tell me what percentage you think he got the ball in the defensive half versus the offensive half, any thoughts, Del, on what it was? And this is only a one game. This is one game. I haven't looked at them all.
75-25?
52-48 defense. Now, we're talking about a guy who last year clearly came around the back, got the handball, got his big numbers. He was 52% defensive half and 48 offensive. He kicked a goal as well. And I'm having a look at him. He got a lot of ball. He was either deep in defense, like back in the sort of goal square, or he's up on the wing or up on the right half forward getting the ball. So it's really intriguing to see what's going on.
even better then, because you're going to get points for inside 50 delivery.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Absolutely. It was just an interesting. I just wanted to go and have a look at where you're sort of getting the football. I, for some strange reason, haven't got around and watched too many St Kilda games. I've seen a lot of their scores and what they're doing. So I don't mind that shout at all. I'm just trying to see what he went the week before. Anyways, we'll push on. It's not good listening for people while I scroll through.
Just quickly, do you know? I've watched a couple of St Kilda games, and I cannot for the life of me think, is Sinclair the one that takes the kick-ins, or is Cal Wilkie?
Changes.
I'll have to have a look. I've got the stats here. Yeah. So this is the interesting one. The game before against the Bombers, so he was back to his 88% defensive half, 12% offensive half. But if anyone has the AFL app and go and have a look, he is getting them up, just up on the defensive wing was where he was getting the ball. You could legitimately say he was playing on the wing. He got a bulk of footy just back of the halfway. So he's really pressing up the ground and playing a different role this year to what he was last year. Yeah. So I think it's a really good shout, Del, for people to go and have a look at. And I think they're sleeping on it too much.
Yep.
All right, break-evens. Let's have a look at that and let's talk about the players that people are talking about. I think it would be absolutely remiss of us to not mention JVR at the top of this show. He's got a break-even of 71. He's got an average of break-even of minus 71. He's got an average of 71. Obviously, he had a lower scoring performance last week with a 53. So obviously, cash is on the cards here. I'll start with you, Jake, then we'll go to Del. Both your thoughts. Where are you at with JVR we talk a lot on this show, Jake, about job security, point scoring. Where's your mind at with him?
Okay, so JVR, I'm actually looking at bringing him into my team for Davey, just because I'm not fully sold on Davey, and I'm liking what the big Roo is doing down in Melbourne. So I like his break even. The job security scares me a little bit in what you were saying there, Rob. I'm with Ben Brown and Tom McDonald there. Like, let's remember Ben Brown he got subbed or he got injured in that first game where he went massive and Tommy Mack wasn't playing. And now Tommy Mack was playing last week and now Ben Brown could be coming back as well. So I'm just a little bit nervy on him, but I'm also thinking about getting him in just for that break even.
Just before you jump in, Del, just to get perspective. So I know you, Jake, have Filippo and Davey, correct?
Yes, correct.
So they're currently sitting at the number 4 and the number 5 traded in and out trade this week is that trade. So JVR for either Filippo, which is at 4 with 2,100 people, and JVR for Orwin Davey, which is at 1,900. So very close to each other. Yeah. I asked the question then, why do you choose a Davey who's at a break even of -1 compared and still averaging around 53 compared to 53 compared to like a Filippo who's only averaging 61, slightly higher, but now is already back up to the break even of around 2023. Why the Davey versus Filippo when you're doing a sort of clearly a bit of a cash generation, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I think it's just I'm more interested in what Filippo can do from an actual game perspective. I feel like he can make more of an impact than Davey. I feel like Davey is going to be there just do the crumbing and kick goals, and he needs the goals to generate his score to go up. But because he's basically tipper light. Like at the moment he's tipper light, but he's not to the same impact that tipper can have. So if he doesn't get a goal, I'm just kind of I know he's going to get the forward tackles and he may get an inside 50 here and there if he pushes up a little bit more. But I don't know, Mickie, because that was the thing that I'm wondering right now, if it's Davey or Filippo, and of leaning Davey, is there any chance that if Tipper's ready to come back, is he just going to boot Davey out of this side? Because I'm not sold he has a spot in the Essendon side.
I'm glad you guys brought it up. I reckon he'll miss this week. He hurt his shoulder in the third quarter, and then there was an incident where he had his ankle stepped on in the last quarter and could barely move. He got helped off the ground. I reckon there's a chance he misses.
Yeah.
So
the shoulder worried me as well.
Yeah. So when you're talking about cash generation, you got Filippo there. Yeah, he might be in the positives, but if you're looking for that cash gen now, even if he does play, I can't see him going monstrous. He is banged up at the moment and he will rest soon. So whether it's this week or next week, I'm not too sure, but don't be surprised if he misses this week.
And so where does JVR sit for you, mate?
He's coming in.
He's coming in?
100%. It is going to be wet, so don't expect a huge score out of him. But I do want to point this out. So you got Tommy McDonald, you got Ben Brown, you got Fritsch, and all of them, if you hung out with them blokes, 3 of them at a bar, and a couple of scary dudes came and wanted to pick on you, none of them are helping you, right? This Van Ruin bloke, he takes the game on. Like he's tough at the pill. He's got that a little bit of extra aggression. So I think Melbourne need him in the side. I think his job security, I believe, is quite good. He gives them that little bit of an extra edge. And I'd love to see him stay in the side. Well, whether that's me just being biased in thinking, yep, I'm going to get him in, he's going to make me money, or whether it's the footy side going, you know what, this guy actually adds an element of toughness to our forward line. And on the weekend, there were times where he had no chance of getting the ball, but he brought it to ground. And then your Chandlers, your Picketts, they come into the play. His second efforts, he had 6 tackles the first game. Tell me the last time Ben Brown or Tom McDonald had 6 tackles in a game.
Yeah. He never even got it at North.
No.
That's a good shout.
He can play on the ground.
Yeah, I think his job security is a lot better than what other people think.
I think it's pretty comfortable that he's going to come into a lot of people's sides. I don't think anybody should doing it though with the mindset that he needs to be on your field. If you're doing it for an on-field, that's the wrong mindset. Don't think that he can take an F6 spot. He can't. He can't. If you're looking to be like if you're going to look to be Jake Skidmore and get in the top 1% for the weekly score, he's not on your field. Charlie Constable still sitting there with his minus 52, second on the list. I'm a hold. He'll come back into this team at some point. He's playing too good a football in the VFL and they're not playing good enough football in the AFL. So to me, he's got to come back in at some point. And to be honest, he's a very good chance that he'll be on my field when he comes back in until these DPPs sort of happen. This is one player I want to talk about though. I think he's a good chance to come into my side this week. I'm just so nervous that I'm about to use another boost and I could be down to 1 left. Max Michelini at Adelaide. I love his role and I love what he's actually doing. And he's still sitting he got 103 last week. He's got an average of 74 with Will Day and what could happen with whether they contest that. Well, I know they're contesting it, but hopefully it goes down to 1 week. Either way, even if it's 2 weeks, I've got to hold Will Day. This could be the guy that I bring in with a 244K price tag and a minus 45 break even. Del, what's your thoughts on Michelini?
Yeah, I like him, but for me personally, I won't be bringing him in because I'm looking at keepers now. So for anyone that's looking for cash generation, his role looks solid. I saw an article today where he's played on Bolton. He's played on I couldn't tell you who else, but he's played on 3 really good small forwards, and none of them have kicked more than 1 goal on him. So his position in the side is rock solid. He will be playing, and he will score. He won't score 100 every week, but if you're looking for your 70s, high 70s, low 80s, I reckon, pretty comfortably could bring that to you. But he's not a keeper.
He's not a keeper, but for me, if I'm having a hold, which I'm now been stuffed with the Doherty in the day and that kind of stuff and the things that have happened in the past, I'm looking at bringing him in. The other one I'm looking at then is it doesn't force my hand. I'm not excited by how many forward options there are to come in. Everyone's so excited to go, Sheasel and Zeeble can both move to defense when they get their DPP status. I'm like, I think I need one of them to stay in the forward. I don't think there's that many options to bring in there. So for me, it's, look, at some point the Wilmots and the Cowans and that will have to go, and then I'll upgrade them to keepers. But then maybe this guy comes in and can fill the role just for a little bit. I'm not sold. I'm not sold because it is paying a bit of a price tag for it. But I'll have a look. Have you watched much of him, Skiddy?
Yeah, I have, and I was very impressed with him. When I was watching the showdown, I thought he did a sensational job on Rioli. I was keeping a keen eye on him. And then I did my old and ah bull crap where I was like, I want to say one more week. And then he did another great job last week against Schultz. Now, this is the one that I want to see. And the only reason why I want to see it so badly is because they come up against Carlton, right? Carlton don't have a dynamic small forward like Freo, like Port. So I want to see what he does when he doesn't have to do a massive tag on such a good small forward. So, yeah, this is the week I want to see. I don't know if I want to get him in beforehand to see what he can do, or if I want to wait till after and then him come out and pull out 120 or something like that. And I just sit there and go, well, shit.
Robbie, that's a really good point that Skiddy brings up, because good small forwards take you to the footy.
Mm-hmm.
So if Carlton don't have one, so who does he go to?
Does he go to, but they have quite a few mid-size. Does he go to Silvani now?
Yeah. Potentially.
Silvani better in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I reckon that's going to be more like I call him Mick Delaney because it sounds like Mick Delaney. Mick Delaney. So he's quite a tall, wiry sort of fella. So
I could understand if somebody else said that. Like I called him Mick Delaney because he reminded me of you. But that's saying that his name sounds like yours, so you're calling him your name. I just want to point that out. That's all.
There's two blokes that sound like Mick Delaney, and he's definitely number one. But anyway, I think because of Silvani, he'll be deep back, and that's a lot of acid. On a Thursday night. Carlton are playing really good footy. Adelaide are up and about at the moment. There'll be a lot of people there. Yeah, I don't know. Does
he go to what's his name? The young fella. His old man played in the AFL as well.
Silvani.
Nah.
Durden?
It'll come to me. They're draftees. He's a second-year player.
Okay.
Small forward. It'll come to me. Anyways, we'll move on. Tyler Brockman, want to talk about here, minus 43. Go. Motlop. Yeah, Motlop. He might go to Motlop.
Yeah, it's good shout.
Tyler Brockman got subbed out last week. Only got a 25. Looks good. They have a bit of a role there. I know a lot of people talked about him. I think he has a role at Hawthorn, but I wouldn't touch him. He's a genuine small forward. He's trying to find himself. He's had some injury-prone years. They're just gonna nurture. I think they know that there's something in this kid, and they're just gonna nurture him through this season. So I would leave him alone.
Yep.
To be honest, guys, I'm kind of going to throw to you because the list isn't really saying much for me. There's Judd McVee, there's Tyler Young, there's Judson Clark. Cozzy Pickett is still sitting there at minus 24, and he has his price change this week. Average of 117, obviously had a huge game round one, still had an 89 this week, but it was against West Coast. So how much do you look into that? Will Phillips is still minus 23. Jack Higgins is minus 23. That Ned Moyle went out and scored a 64, but he's only played one game. Oscar Baker's still sitting there with a minus 15. I can't believe it. Harry Sheezel's still got a minus 12, even though he's accumulated 183K. It's just outrageous. One person I want to talk about, this person's getting talked a little bit about. Where's everyone's thoughts on Mitch Owens getting the Rising Star nominee, massive score? Is he getting a bit more game time or a bit more midfield time with Steele out? Or do we see him continuing this on when certain players come back, like a Jack Steele?
I don't think so. No. He's playing as like a leading high forward as well. And that's Membry down to a T.
Yeah.
Membry comes back this week. Then you got Steele back in a couple of weeks. Like St Kilda are really injured. And don't get me wrong, he's a very good player.
Yeah.
But he is not going to pump out those scores each week.
Yep.
No, I couldn't agree more. I said it as well to the boys. I wanted to have a real good look at Owens, the machete. Yeah. And I'm really liking what he can do. But when I went back and watched the game, Mick's absolutely dead-eye dick on that one. He's the Tim Membry replacement until Tim Membry comes back. Mm-hmm. He's doing a fantastic job of it. And I'm a big fan of the machete.
Yep.
But yeah, when memory comes back, he's going to ruin it. And all of that, I was really looking forward to getting him in, but I'm staying clear now. Even though I'm loving what he's doing. Big shout out to the machete. He's doing well.
Let's go. Before I want to go to an ad break in 1 second to just one of our other sponsors in Snap Fitness, Epson and Bendigo. But before we go there, and when we finish that, we'll come back and quickly talk about VCs and Cs. Let's start with you, Skiddy. Let's go. No explanation. Let's just say what we're doing. Maybe a quick explanation if you want. What are your trades this week at the moment as they stand?
Okay, so my trades real quickly. As you all know, my first one was Warple out. See you later. I've had enough of you. You're an idiot. And I'm getting in Hopper. So I'm real happy with Hopper. And then, my next one was getting the big woo in for Davey now that Mickie Dell has given that the old thumbs up clear. So, Davey's gone. Big Roo in. Give me some cash, baby. And then we'll start making some moves next week.
Beautiful. Dell?
Yeah, Doherty's out for me. And then potentially Sinclair, I think, will come in this week. Sinclair did have a 63 a couple of weeks ago against Essendon. So I might even wait another week because his break-even's still quite high this week and then bring him in when he's even cheaper. There's two that I want to throw to you boys to see whether you've seen anything of them. Nick Haynes from GWS. Justin brought him up in the preseason. He's constantly scoring around 100 now. And Ollie Florent from Sydney. He's averaging 100 as well. Have either of you guys seen any footy out of these guys, and would you consider them given the classic mid-price madness at 400 and 440K?
I think it's very clear that Haynes is back playing similar to how he did when he was named as an All-Australian. I think that's very clear. When Justin brought it up in our sort of preseason pods, I think we definitely answered in that way, which was this is a guy that 100% has the ability to play that role that everyone loves. Dare we even tried to compare him to a Tom Stewart, but we were unsure on what role or way in which GWS were going to play and how we would fit into that. But look, he's starting to show now. You've got enough content to go off to go, look, he's consistently got a role that's going to go back to the way that he's playing, which is great to see for him because I've always rated him as a footballer. Ollie Florent's one that I've really liked for a long time since he got drafted. And he looks to be getting a lot more midfield role and run. And he looks to be a bit more efficient with the footy as well, which is great to see. I think you and I talk this way a lot, Del, which is I think you'd have some serious peanuts to pick a Florent. I think you'd have a lot more confidence in picking a Haynes. Is where my head's at. Skiddy?
So with Haynes, I'm a big fan of Nick Haynes. I reckon he is solid as solid can be down back for GWS. From a Supercoach standpoint, though, I'm starting well clear. Again, with the same argument that I have with for Buckley, with Phil Davis coming back in. I just want to see how the team works with them both. I know he plays really well next to Phil, but I just want to see how it works. With Florent, though, so I've watched, I think, every Sydney game this year, and I've been super impressed with Florent. I always have been. I don't understand what he's doing, but he's everywhere. He looks he's running forward, he's running back, he's in the midfield, and then he'll go to wing, and he's just everywhere. He's taken over Rowbottom's role from last year, but doing it 10 times better. He looks sensational. He's getting the cheap mark on the wing, on the half back to then kick to the winger, and then he'll run on and he'll get the ball back again at half forward. He looks unbelievable. I just don't know, why Longmuir has now gone to Florent. Hey, just do whatever the hell you like. Just do it, and it's working out perfectly. So, I don't know what he's doing, but I'm loving it because he's everywhere.
You got a guy that's gone from a 67.7 average to now he's sitting at 101. He's definitely look. It's only 4 games, but you've got to still look at it when a stat slaps you in the face.
Yeah,
he's away from home. He's averaging 82 with an 85 and a 79. At home, he's averaging 120 because he's gone a 107 against Hawthorn and he went the 135 against Port Adelaide. So he's an interesting one that actually, it's strange. We've talked a lot about how Sydney probably perform better on a bigger ground with their new age team that they have, but he looks like he's getting in and getting the footy at that SCG venue. So it will be interesting to see how he goes. I mean, they've got Richmond, Geelong, both obviously away from home because it's Adelaide Oval and then down in Geelong. And then GWS, they come back to the SCG. But mate, he's got a break even of 69. I think I just read just before. So look, mate, we're at that point. Sorry, he's got a break even of 38, even better. So,
jeez, I think he's getting a lot more time as well on the half back, which is kind of like inflating him a bit because he used to be in the middle and then he'd come off on the interchange and then they'd sit him like half forward or something like that just to, do whatever. But now he's getting everywhere. So personally for me, I'm looking at him and I'm keeping a very close eye on him. I want to see how he goes against the Tigs this week. And obviously we all know how Richmond go. Richmond just run. So I want to see how he goes this week. And then he's in serious consideration. And my mids, Tom Green, I'm looking at you. Watch out for Florent.
Nearly head above the screen.
Yeah, no, for me, the trades will be Doherty will be out. I think I can't go past Dawson at the moment. Dawson will come in for me. It's either going to be Van Ruin or Samson Ryan for who was I going to drop out of my forward line? I might even drop Cogs. While you're
looking at that, Robbie,
get rid of him.
Ben Miller has been named as the ruck for Richmond.
Who has?
Really?
Yep.
All right, so it's JVR then. So JVR will come in.
I'm not sure on Ben Miller's price, but if they're naming him as the ruck, I can't imagine his price would be too high. He might be one worth looking to get in.
I'm just having a look. He's still 339, 700 as a defender. Yeah. I think so. JVR then will come in for me, possibly even for Cogs. I'm thinking about taking a bit of a hit this week and have a weaker score, and then have some serious cash around the 450, 460 mark for DPP balance round. If Day stays at 2 weeks and doesn't get down to 1, there's a good chance I might have to bring in or do something like a Michelini or Mick Delaney to go into that backline spot and spend a little bit of the cash and use the boost, which I don't want to do, but I think that's the smart move with building this team back up before DPP round. So,
hey, Robbie,
yeah,
just
mate.
real quick, I know you're really you're really worried about Day getting 1 or 2 weeks. I'll make this very easy for you. Does Will Day play for Carlton?
He does not.
Oh, then he's getting 2 weeks. And he may get a third just because, it's the way it goes, mate.
There are some reports around, boys, that Will Gould potentially may play this weekend for Sydney.
Yep.
He won't.
Beauty.
He won't.
He won't. Didn't they already declare that?
I have a message from, I'm in a Facebook Messenger group with a guy that has inside word with team selections at Sydney. He will not play.
I've had a little bit of inside. If we're going to talk inside word, I've had a little bit of inside word that there's a chance that Corey Wagner gets picked for Fremantle this weekend.
He's been named today.
Has he? Oh, there you go. Did these? I must have just missed these come out. Sorry, everyone listening along.
Corey Wagner?
Be aware this podcast has dropped a long time after we recorded it. So when it does get dropped, I apologise if I have missed that. But yeah, no, my mate, my inside information told me that he was a good chance to get picked. Yeah. Okay.
If you want to know a little bit more of inside, from a Norse perspective, Taron Thomas can get, you know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to censor myself.
He's done.
And also, too, we could be in a couple of weeks talking about a very nice starting price for a young man named George Wardlaw that could be coming into the north side. So keep an eye out on that. That could be a nice little way to put your cash in, and then bring in someone that can get you some nice cash from after that.
Sounds good.
Hey, Dell's got the inside on me. Where have you got it? Where have you got all this inside, Dell? I like it. It's good. It's good. Let's quickly just go to an ad from our sponsors at Snap Fitness, Epsom, and Bendigo.
Are you looking to make good on that New Year's resolution? Finding it hard to get into the gym due to not having anyone to look after the kids? Head on in and see Mark, Emma and the team at Snap Fitness Bendigo and Epsom for all your fitness needs. Both Epsom and Bendigo locations offer free child minding, which gives you the chance to head on in, get a workout done without worrying about the kids. All staff have working with children's checks and are super helpful with whatever your children need. Snap Fitness also offers a wide variety of classes such as strength and reformer Pilates, Tabata, strength classes, as well as one-on-one PT sessions. So head on in and say good day to the guys at either gym and tell them the Molten Boys sent you.
Thank you to those at Snap Fitness 24/7, Epsom and Bendigo. We love them. Support those who support us. Make sure you go and check them out. Say hi, as you heard in that ad. If you've got your kids, take them with you. They have creation. They can take care of your kids while you can train. Nothing better than that. Boys, this has been an absolute blast. We are well over the hour, and that's okay because we're producing quality, so I'm all right with it. But we will push into our games, and what I'm going to go is I'm going to go around the table, and I want your tip, and I want you to pick one player from each team who you would look to possibly put the VC or the C on. Obviously, we'll probably be talking VCs to begin with. Obviously, we know also all of these are played in South Australia. So Adelaide Oval to kick things off tomorrow night. We're recording this on Wednesday, but it's probably going to be tonight for everyone who's listening along. Adelaide v Carlton. Skiddy, I'll let you start this one. Your tip and who you would look to put the VC on.
Yeah, right. So I'm toing and froing big time with this game. I'm loving the football Carlton's playing. Walsh in is massive, as well as Kennedy. Doherty, obviously, a big out. Adelaide are going to want to show in front of the home crowd. So if I'm looking at it, I mean, look, we're thinking Cripps for the VC, but geez, if I had Jordan Dawson, I would be throwing it on him. I'm loving him. I mean, I think he can go well. I don't think he's going to have a direct opponent. I think they're just going to let him do what he wants to do, and he's going to provide the class that Adelaide need down there. Although, I'm going to go the Baggers by 15.
Beautiful.
Mickie?
Can't be called the stat man without giving you some stats, can I?
Yes.
Last 6 games that Carlton have played at Adelaide Oval, their average loss margin is 65 points.
Yep.
They get hammered. And the last time Adelaide played Carlton in Adelaide, Adelaide won by 5 goals. And this was towards the back end of last year where Carlton were looking at finals and Adelaide was shithouse. So my tip is Adelaide by 4 goals and Jordan Dawson, slap your VC on him.
Yeah, my tip is also is Adelaide as well. Being at home, I'm going to go Adelaide as well. It's too hard not to put the VC on Dawson. I think it's one of those ones that everybody's going to do it, so you feel a bit safer doing it, especially when I think I might take a bit of a hit score round. I think I've got to be smarter and not go too crazy with my VC options. I do have Cripps. It's hard to look past him. What's our thoughts? Does like an – look, I haven't looked at the team. Does like an Ed Curnow go to Jordan Dawson this week?
I don't mind
it's either Dawson or Laird, but I reckon Dawson's more damaging. Laird accumulates. Dawson's more damaging. So if Carlton are going to tag anyone, I'd imagine it would be Dawson.
Yeah. Yep. Adelaide looks so much better with the ball in Jordan Dawson's hands. So that
would be my only hesitation is Ed Curnow, and he does a pretty good job.
That's very good shot, yeah.
I'll go back to Delaney. You can start this time. So Freo play Gold Coast. Tip and any VC options there, mate.
Yeah, tip. Gold Coast. They've won 3 of the last 4 against Fremantle. Last year they won by 6 goals against them. Absolutely pumped them. A VC. Oh geez, Luke Ryan's doubtful this week. Took Miller, I guess, if anyone, but I'm steering clear of this game.
Yep, Skiddy.
Yeah, I'm also with the Suns. I think they're going to do it, and I don't like anyone in this game. But if you had to make me choose, one of my boys that I am a massive, massive fan of, and that's Noah Anderson. I'm a massive fan of Noah Anderson, and I think with the bigger body going against Freo's small midfield, slap me on Noah Anderson, absolutely.
So I think Fremantle are going to win. I think they've got to rattle their cage now if they can't go 1-4 for what they need to do. So it's got to be Fremantle this week playing in Adelaide. They're not playing Gold Coast up in Gold Coast. They're playing in Adelaide. Is Witts back?
No.
I think Sean Darcy's a big look in then for somebody to slap a VC on if you wanted to be a little bit different. I think he's finding his straps. I think he'll dominate the ruck. I don't mind the Noah Anderson call. I think the big bodies are showing that they play well against Freo. But, yeah, Sean Darcy would be big for me. If it wasn't Touk Miller, I think Touk Miller is the obvious next choice as well. I reckon this is an absolute rip snorter. For everyone listening, I'm going to gather around. I can't wait. I'm jumping out of my skin. I'm getting ready for my flight. This one's Saturday night at Adelaide Oval, Richmond versus Sydney. I think it's going to be an absolute rip snorter to watch. Who's your tip, Skiddy, and who's your VC option?
I really am looking forward to this game also. I think, the Tigs are obviously the proven team. Swans are fantastic. I'm going Swans, and I think they're going to do it I don't think it's going to be like a massive score, but I think it's going to be quite comfortable for them. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game with, Swans winning by about 4 goals or so. No Nankervis, no Lynch. I don't know if Rewald's playing. I think Sydney are going to just control the game nicely. I'm going Swans for a VC. Mate, take your pick. Could be bloody anyone. I think it's going to be a very high scoring Supercoach game in this one.
Pick one.
So, I'm looking forward to it.
Pick one.
Yeah. Pick one.
Pick one.
Peter Laddams.
Didn't realise we were picking one off the special bus, but anyway.
That's the biggest.
I'm going charity today.
You can't come to the pod. You can't come to the pod and not put your name to something. Come on.
Sorry, you're right. Give me. I'm gonna.
You can
stay Millsy. I'm going Millsy actually. Mills is gonna have a game. Yeah, I'm going Millsy. If it's not Mills, it's going to be Goulden, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Sydney, 5 goals for me. Chad Warner. We'll go large.
Oh, yeah, that's better. Shit.
Yeah, Sydney for me, 3 goals. I want it to be a bit more of a spectacle than that. I do like the Chad Warner call, but I actually think I'll go slightly to the different side. I reckon Jake Lloyd will rack it up.
Okay.
Yeah. Brisbane v North. With your head and your heart, Skiddy, we're not going to make you say other than North. You can tip North, mate. What's your actual thoughts? In a nutshell? What's your thoughts?
Sorry, Doug.
Oh, you're right.
No, you go.
Sorry, my bad. Obviously, I'm diehard North, but I'm also a realist in the sense of all words of the football community, and I just love my footy. So obviously,
Kangas by 10 goals.
Yeah.
So just by 9. Just by 9.
Now, look. So the ground that we're playing at is, I don't even know what it's called, but apparently it's tiny as all hell, and it's a shit ground. So I think that could work in our favour, and I think it's going to be purely a midfield contest with not a lot of ball movement around the grounds to be able to, go around your wings and then off your half backs and everything like that. So I think that may actually hamper our game style a fair bit because we do like to chitter around a fair bit. So I think this is going to be one in the guts. So when it comes to that, it's basically Goldstein versus McInerney, and then it's Neil Dunkley and McCluggage versus LDU, Simkin, and whoever else we put in there, whether it be Cunnington, Zeeble, Phillips, whatever it is. I think it has potential to be a very high-scoring game. I don't know how Suv's looking. All I know is that if I'm going to go on a game where I'm not 100% confident with, I'm going to go the team that I think's better. So North by 10 goals. No. I think Brizzy. I think it's going to be. It could go either way, really. I'll tip Brizzy in a close one, and give me. I think Dunks could have a fair game when it comes down to it. I think Dunkley could go well out of the guts, and then he could also snag a few goals. But I'll tell you what, I'm going for my boy LDU. LDU is putting up 130, no fucking worries, and North are taking it home, baby. Woo!
Yeah. Kangaroos to win.
My boy.
They're playing in the Adelaide Hills, so there's no. It's going to be wet. It's going to be windy. Tell me, how well do Brisbane play? Primarily Danaher, Hipwood, these sorts of players. When it's wet, and then the ball hits the ground, they are hopeless. So for Brisbane to win, they need Cameron, they need Bailey, they need these sorts of players to step up. Last week they did in dry conditions and got out the back of Collingwood. North Melbourne play a different brand of footy. I think if they can turn it into a scrap, LDU takes over and goes large. I reckon, here we go, upset of the year, North Melbourne to beat Brisbane.
I think it's Brisbane's opportunity to finally get a win away from home this year.
You're right. The only games they've won have been at the Gabba.
Correct, but I think this is the chance because they're not actually playing a team at their home, and I'd be slapping on Lachie Neale. I think Lachie Neale has a big game in this one. That's how I'd be going. I don't doubt North. I think the $4.80 price tag on them is very disrespectful though. Yeah. So I think it's going to be. I'm just looking at what's on Supercoach here at the moment with.
Sorry, I'll check Sportsbet. Yeah, I mean, whatever betting company wants to sponsor us.
Port Adelaide v Western Bulldogs.
28.
Port Adelaide v Western Bulldogs. Del, you kick us off this time, mate.
Yeah, I think this is going to be really close. Port Adelaide at home, they've got Gatherand in their city. You know, they need to be up and about. I think the game is going to be won between Lycett and English. If Lycett can nullify English and his impact on the footy, Port Adelaide win. If English gets off the chain, goes forward, kicks goals, and then picks up the possessions at will around the ground, I think Western Bulldogs win. It is going to be wet. We've seen last week that the Bulldogs can still play a pretty good brand of footy in the wet. And then they've got the bigger body midfielders in Liberatore and Bontempelli and these sorts of players versus, you know, Butters and Rosie and Drew. They're all sort of smaller type of midfielders. So, yeah, it's a 50-50. But do I need to pick one?
No, you don't have to.
You can't come on the pod and not pick one, Nick.
Yeah, you're right. Western Bulldogs by 9 points and Bontempelli to go stupid. There you go. Skiddy.
Lock of the week. My lock is on. Bulldogs are beating Port. No worries about it. Bulldogs are beating Port. And Liver is having a game. Their midfielders are too big, too strong. Wines is doing nothing. Bulldogs for me, no worries.
Yeah, I've tossed and turned on this one for quite some time. There's a part of me that wants to tip the Bulldogs. The only thing that's swaying me to Port Adelaide is the fact that it's in Adelaide. I think the Bulldogs match up well against them, and I'm on the fence at the moment. But I don't mind the Bulldogs tip at all. We're starting to get to the C point as well, putting the C on a player now because we're starting to push to Saturday night. Bontempelli is probably the easiest and the best tip in this one. Libba's been good. The rain is coming in on Saturday night again. That's the forecast for Saturday night is rain. There's nothing meant to be in the day, but it is meant to come in the night. So if you see that rain starting to come down, your Tim English and Libba show that they can still put up the numbers in the rain. So, yep. I don't even want to touch Geelong v West Coast. It's as boring as batshit. I'm actually choosing a bottomless brunch over it. I don't think I'll be going to the game. So I think we can all assume Geelong as being a tip. Is there anyone you'd put? Geelong's
Jezza.
Jeremy Cameron.
Jezza. He's phenomenal. He could be the best player in the AFL right now. Jezza. Slap it on if you've got him in your team.
We were talking about him being a bit more, he's a bit of the modern day Franklin a little bit. The closest thing that's kind of to like Franklin, that get up the ground, be agile. But if anything, he's a better lead out mark overhead. It's just probably, they're an interesting two, those two.
It's unreal as well. He's had his first kid and he's decided to play better, which is unbelievable because I thought having a kid made you sleep less and are tired more. And he's just come in and gone, you know what? I can play better footy with the kid, so screw it. Otherwise, his misso is doing a fantastic job. Good on you, Indiana.
Oh, first name basis. I like it. Very good. Wowza.
Yeah, I went to school with her.
Is that true?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Eltham High. She was, she's an absolute.
Hey, we're taking an hour and 20 minutes and we dropped that. I mean, you started with what's his name, the coach at the start. That was a big drop at the start, and then you've.
What, you didn't think you reckon I should name drop Jeremy Cameron's misso Indiana Putra before I name drop Terry Wallace? All right, fair enough. Sorry, I'll do it next time.
I'll change what this podcast is all about.
Yeah. Anyway.
GWS Hawthorn, they're not playing at Adelaide Oval. They're playing out a little bit in Norwood as well. This is an interesting one. Del, who are you going in this one?
Oh, I have to pick someone, don't I? GWS.
They have to bounce back, don't they? You can't lose to Hawthorn.
No, you can't. And without Will Day, who's their prime ball mover at the moment, GWS by 4 goals. And a C option this week, let's go Josh Kelly.
I've been toing and froing it a lot of bit as well. I really want to tip Hawthorn here. If they want to come out and play, I'm kind of going towards it, but I think I just got to go with what I'm confident with, and that's Giants and let's just stuff Rob around. Yeah, Cornelio. Yeah, I reckon he's gonna have a massive game. Yeah, get it on Cogs.
I may end up holding Cogs just because of the fact they're playing Hawthorn. Like, there's every chance I just hold him because he's playing Hawthorn. GWS, I think, have to get up. I think Tom Green's the one that has the big game in this one. I think it's going to be a little bit wet and windy, and he'll play a big one. Collingwood St Kilda, which is at the start of the year, we were sort of contemplating. I was going to go out and watch my Hawks play and then come back and watch this at the second half when we signed up for Gather Round at the start of the year. But I have now turned to my old man and said, I really don't need to go and see Hawks. I've seen plenty of the Hawks, and this is not the year. I don't want to miss a minute of this game, and I want to see the Ross Lyon structure live, and I want to see the Collingwood speed live. I think this is absolutely right up there as game of the round. Where's your tip at, Skiddy?
Yeah, look, you boys know that with that better 100-1 bull crap that came out, I chucked my money on Collingwood. I'm big into Collingwood, even though their supporters are crap and all the jokes that go with it. So, but yeah, I think what they're doing under Craig McRae is just fantastic. And the fact that I didn't see it earlier, that, you know, they got a coach from the best team that has ever existed in the AFL history, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together that they could actually play good football. It's like ridiculous, but they are phenomenal. I think they beat the Saints. I think they hand the Saints the first loss. I reckon it's probably about 20 points. I don't care if they don't have a ruckman. No, actually, I'm going against myself. No, I'm going St Kilda. Marshall's too good. Yeah, no, I'm going Saints.
All right, this podcast is clearly going too long. We're starting to lose it a little bit here. That's outrageous. Del?
Yeah, Saints by 20. And Rowan Marshall, captain. My captain, yeah, Marshall.
Saints to win, Nick Dacos captain, and hopefully you touch on Melbourne and Essendon as the last game of the round.
Mick, real quickly, are you not worried about St Kilda holding the ball too much for Dacos to not I'm a little bit worried that St Kilda are going to just hold the ball too much and Dacos isn't going to impact the same way that he normally does.
Not at all, because Collingwood could have 30% of the ball for the whole game, and yet they're still looking to get the ball in Dacos' hands every time.
I do apologise. I think Collingwood win this game. I think Dacos has to get the C. Sorry. But I don't mind the Royal Marshal shout, and hopefully he does bounce back and have a bit of a rip snorter. Yeah. I did miss a game. I did miss your Bombers. I apologise. That was not intentional.
That's okay.
Bombers v Melbourne, which is it's an interesting one. So I must have two games that are clearly back to back. And this is how this whole gather round package works. You do buy the games and you sort of nearly can go to them all because it's at 2:10 and then it's at 5:50. So they're pretty much just straight after each other. So I wonder whether they're clearing people out, bringing them in. I'll let you guys know. But Essendon v Melbourne, interesting game. I must admit, I tipped against the Bombers last week and they played a bit better than what I thought they would. So yeah, thoughts, Del?
We do play well against Melbourne. Like last year when they were flying and we were ordinary, we were up into the last quarter before they overrun us. I really want to tip them, but I can't. Melbourne by a goal and Clayton Oliver to have an absolute field day against us.
Yeah, I was looking at this before. Clary always does very, very well against the Bombers. I don't know if it's because their mids don't want to play any defense or if Clary just gets into the right positions against the Bombers. But either way, I'm going D's. I'm not going to be as nice to Mick. I reckon it's 5 goals. Bombers haven't impressed me at all. They haven't beaten anyone of note this year. And then they got pants by St Kilda. So until they show me a bit more, even though actually in saying that though, they did comfortably handle GWS last week and I tipped them. So I thought they played a very good brand of football for, certain stages of the game and then they kind of dropped away.
You're welcome.
For what?
I don't know.
Well, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much. D's comfortably. Clary to have a game. If you have Petrarca as well, I don't know why you would have a Clary, but yeah, I think Track's going to have another nice day out, and Grundy's going to pull down Draper's pants as much as I like Drapes, but Grundy's a step above. So I think the Melbourne midfield really take a bit of a smacking to them this week.
Yeah, Clary averages 102 in his career against the Bombers. Last year he got a 146 against them, and when he played Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval, he had a 176. He only got a 68 against Port Adelaide at Adelaide Oval, so that kind of ruined my fun there. But look, I think the D's are going to be too good. And I think Clary, he's just playing too good a football not to be the guy that you put it on. He's one of those ones that people might even wait all the way till that to be the VC.
If Essendon win this week, they'll play finals.
Are they going to win one, or is it going to be like the last 21 years?
Probably not.
And on that note,
this is the type of game I think they could nearly do it.
It's a big call.
Good luck.
I like you back into the team.
Hold to bet.
Yep.
Done.
Wow. On that. All right. Jake, it's been an absolute pleasure having you, Skiddy, on our podcast today. I think the quality of the conversation is what's extended us from that 1 hour to that 1 hour 30. We really enjoyed your insights, looking at your team, getting your insights to the actual footy. I think it was probably one of the first pods where we really dived into sort of some genuine footy chat on top of some Supercoach chat, which was awesome. Mate, any final words from yourself before I let Mickie Dell have a final word before I sign us out?
No, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you two boys. It's this is a big tick off the bucket list to be on the old Molten Fantasy Sports podcast. Any single time you boys want me to come in here and lift up the Banter levels, I'm more than happy to come back. We all know that Matty Morell's not going to lift any of that. So anytime, boys, I really appreciate it. And it's been great fun. So all the best to both of us, all of us on our teams this week.
We still haven't heard from Elvis's Bulldogs, who came top of the league this week, Robbie. So for Steve, who came number 1 in the Molten Fantasy Pod League with a score of 2,315 this week?
Oh, shit.
He needs to message us, otherwise your prize is going elsewhere, mate. And for those other people,
do not give this pack away. Do not give it away.
For the people that are in the league, you need to subscribe to our channel for your chance to win these prizes. If Elvis's Bulldogs do not claim their prize, what we are going to do is we're just going to pick a random person who has liked and subscribed to our channel, and they will get the prize. So like, subscribe, get around us, forward us onto your mates. We bring you good quality banter. We bring you good quality AFL stats, figures, team structures, and we've got Mr. He was 1%, but he's probably top 5% now down the bottom here. We've had the 2019 winner on here. We've had Trent Evans, who is sitting top 1% as well. We're bringing you good quality people who are doing very well this year. So
and we've got more. We've got way more lined up for the rest of this year as well. It's going to be an absolute pleasure. Guys, it's been so much fun. I feel like a kid in a candy store. It feels like the night before Christmas. I'm going to go and take myself to bed to get ready to get up for my early flight to gather round tomorrow. This has been the Molten Fantasy Sport Podcast. Peace out.
See ya.